My father left me a voicemail the night he died. It's just him counting down from 100. He stops at 7 and says my name. I didn't hear it until the next morning. My phone had been on silent. When I woke up to 17 missed calls from my mom, I knew before I even called her back. Heart attack. Alone in his study. Gone before the ambulance arrived. After the funeral, after the relatives left, after my mom finally fell asleep, I sat in my childhood bedroom and played the voicemail for the first time. His voice filled the room. 100, 99, 98. Slow, deliberate, like he had all the time in the world. 97, 96, 95. I listened to my father count down while tears ran down my face. His voice was calm, steady, the same voice that read me bedtime stories and taught me to ride a bike and walked me down the aisle 2 years ago. 53, 52, 51. Why was he counting? Was he timing something? Trying to stay conscious? Waiting for help it never came? 21, 20, 19. The numbers kept coming. I held my breath as they got lower. 10, 9, 8, then silence. A pause that lasted 3 seconds. 7, another pause. Then softly, Emma. The voicemail ended. I played it again and again and again. I couldn't understand. Why would a dying man spend his final moments counting backwards? Why stop at 7? Why say my name like that? Like a whisper, like a secret. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I found my mom in the kitchen making coffee she wouldn't drink. I played her the voicemail. She listened with her eyes closed. When it ended, she was smiling through her tears. You don't remember, she said. Remember what? She sat down at the table and patted the chair next to her. When you were little, you had terrible anxiety. 4 years old and you'd lie awake for hours, scared of everything. Monsters in the closet, bad dreams, the dark, nothing worked. We tried nightlights, stuffed animals, music. You'd still cry yourself to sleep. She wiped her eyes. Then one night, your father tried something different. He lay down next to you and started counting backwards from 100, slowly, calmly. He said each number like it was the most important thing in the world. And somewhere in the 70s, your breathing would slow down. By the 50s, your eyes would get heavy. By the 20s, you'd be fighting to stay awake. She laughed softly. You never made it past 10, not once, but you always tried so hard. You'd squeeze his hand tighter as the numbers got lower, like you were holding on. And every single night, he'd stop at whatever number you fell asleep on, and he'd whisper your name just once. His way of saying goodnight. I couldn't breathe. He did this every night, every single night until you were 7. Then the anxiety got better and you didn't need it anymore. But whenever you were sick or scared or had a bad day, he'd offer to count you down, even when you were a teenager and pretended you were too old for it. I thought about all the times I'd been stressed about exams, and my dad would say, "Need me to count?" I always rolled my eyes and said no. I'd give anything to say yes now. Why would he do this while he was dying? My mom took my hand. The doctor said heart attacks can feel like overwhelming panic. Your chest tightens. You can't breathe. You're terrified. She squeezed my fingers. I think he was scared, Emma. And when he was scared, he went back to the thing that always brought him peace, the ritual he created for you. He counted himself down the same way he counted you down all those years ago. But why call me? Because you were always on the other end of that countdown. You were always the person he was trying to reach. Even at the end, especially at the end, you were the reason he kept going. He stopped at 7 because that's when he found peace. And he said your name because that's how the ritual always ended. One last goodnight. I played the voicemail again with my mom beside me. This time I heard it differently. Not a dying man in panic. A father using the last moments of his life to return to the purest expression of love he knew, counting his daughter to sleep one final time. The numbers weren't desperate. They were gentle. The same cadence he'd used when I was 4 years old, terrified of shadows. He was calming himself down the same way he'd calmed me down 1,000 times. And when he reached 7, when the peace finally came, he whispered my name. Not a cry for help, a good night. I saved that voicemail to 3 different places. I listen to it every night before I fall asleep. Sometimes I count along with him. 100, 99, 98. I never make it past 20. Last month I had a daughter. She has his eyes. She also has trouble sleeping. Last night she was crying at 3 a.m. Inconsolable. Too young to tell me what was wrong. I picked her up, held her against my chest, and started counting. 100, 99, 98. By 60, her crying stopped. By 40, her eyes got heavy. By 15, she was asleep. I stopped at 14 and whispered her name. Then I whispered his. Some rituals are too important to let die. My father gave me the gift of peace when I was too young to find it myself. Now I'll give it to her. And every night when I count her down, he'll be right there with us, somewhere in the numbers, waiting to say goodnight.